of this. Oh, okay. So that it was me. Nope. So we just have the agenda.
The agenda and the approval of the July 28th minutes. And Commissioner McConnell, before you pointed out, Commissioner Fowler already pointed out the typo.
So glad to know that we have hot guys. The township sending a climate summit tomorrow?
You are chair tonight.
I don't have time.
This should be
This is
relatively
the worst
easy.
week possible for it.
No,
Yes. It looks like a kind of a light agenda.
I really want to go to it, but
really wanted to talk to them. Well, it's a personal matter, but anywho, okay, sorry I'm late.
it's fine.
I did get a text, when you get settled in, if, Commissioner Romback is running a little late, he said he'll be about 5 minutes late.
Okay,
Commissioner Shrewsbury isn't here, and I haven't heard anything from Commissioner Brooks. But you do have a quorum when you're ready.
okay. I don't think. How do you turn this? Thank you. I can never remember that.
There's Commissioner Brooks.
Oops. Yeah, I just turned it off again. In all my technical prowess, I turned it on and then back off again.
It's okay, I forgive you.
I'm not patient enough, that's my challenge.
I'm familiar with that. My own impatience, not yours.
Yes, no, it's,
All right.
do tell, what was the typo? Wow. Eagle, fine indeed. I would not have caught those. Yes, I would, because that's a paragraph that what did I mean? Don't even- Wow, I read that paragraph and read right through that. It's so hard when you're reading something that you've written or said, because you've already internalized it, and to try to pay attention to it is almost impossible.
Yeah.
But somebody reads it for the first time, like, whoa.
Okay, sorry about the
It's okay.
start here.
It's okay.
All right, so I haven't practiced this at all today.
It's okay. You're calling the meeting to order.
All righty, so it is September 8th and at 6:34 PM. And I'd like to call the Meridian Township Planning Commission meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Commissioner McConnell,
Present.
Commissioner Brooks,
Present.
Commissioner McCurtis,
Here.
and Commissioner Fowler.
Here.
And Commissioner Snyder is here. Commissioners Shrewsbury, or Chair Shrewsbury, and Commissioner Romback are not here this evening, planned absences. Moving along to item 3, public remarks. Is anyone here with public remarks? No? Okay. All right, so item 4, approval of the agenda.
Quick note, was pointed out to me before the meeting, under 9, item B, that should read Article VII, not VII. So I just wanted to clarify. It's not Article 7, it's Article 8.
Oh, VIII, okay, got it.
I move to approve the agenda for the September 8th meeting with the correction to item 9B, should be Article 8.
Second.
Excellent. All those in favor of approval of agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so item 5, the agenda is approved. Item 5, approval of minutes from the July 28th meeting. Anything that needs discussion with the minutes from the July 28th meeting? Anything need to be corrected?
Whoa, we got to do our tag team. Move the minutes. Come on.
For the record, I have had one correction pointed out to me outside of this meeting. And it's been noted, it's under item 9, other business, on the second paragraph, second line, there's a redundancy of if there at the end of the line.
Got it.
I remember you said something. Okay.
Okay.
I move to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Brooks, seconded, sorry.
That's Commissioner
By Curtis
McCurtis.
and-
Sorry, moved by Commissioner McCurtis, seconded by Commissioner Brooks. All those in favor of the approval of minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. So the minutes from July 28th are approved. Agenda item number 6, communications. We have 3 communications.
You have 3 communications in your packet. I have nothing else unless Director Schmidt has something.
We have several that we'll provide to you at the next meeting.
Okay. Item 7, public hearings, there are none. Item 8, unfinished business, there is none. Item 9, other business, Central Park Drive development. Update from staff.
Thank you. So it is, Tim is here. And so we wanted to give the planning commission this sort of precursor discussion prior to the land use discussion that's coming on this issue, because this is a nearly at this point 40-year-long lawsuit that has been going on in the town, 35 at this point, year-long lawsuit that I've had several years to digest and understand, and now the planning commission is going to be asked to weigh in on it, a piece of it again for the second time over that long period of time, right? And so this, what I have on the screen that is zoomed out very far, but I want to show you sort of the magnitude of what we're talking about here. So we've got Tyhart Road at the top end, Marsh along the side. This is Newman, and then Powell Road over here. So we're talking about everything essentially predating, technically it predates Central Park, the road, but you can see that Central Park is on there now by the time this map was created. And so fundamentally what this was is in the late 80s, the Ide family owned 200 plus acres of land in this area, had a plan for the development of it, brought it forward, and at the time, anybody that knows Meridian Township history between the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of back and forth of pro-development, anti-development on the board, the township board. And by the time the project came forward in the late 80s, it was an anti-development board. They turned it down, and ultimately we were sued. And so in 92, we originally settled the case in 92, essentially putting this rough zoning plan in place to start down the road. That settlement has been amended, I believe, 3 times in total since then. The CS zoning that you see throughout no longer exists in the township. We actually maintain one copy of it in our office for when this project comes up, basically. I'll be able to finally recycle this envelope when we get through this. So this covers the Walmart property. This covers Central Park Estates. This covers the Saddleback Barbecue building. This covers I believe MSUFSU, technically, the building is under this. This covers the land preserve area next to MSUFSU. So this is a whole area. And over the years, the zoning has been changed through settlement multiple times, through settlement and stipulation, because the judge, given that the zoning ordinance was found to be unconstitutional as applied at the time, has maintained jurisdiction over it through several judges now. And so the last remaining piece of this is the space. Let me zoom in here. Where's zoom go? Let's do this. Nope, that is not at all what I wanted to do. Apologies, I have lost my zoom button. Nope, that is not.
Control scroll should get you there.
Yeah, I can control scroll, that's right. Thank you. So we are now essentially down to this mess of an area here that you see. So this is actually the order that predated Central Park Estates. So in 2002, an amendment request came forward for the board to consider a change for the zoning over the area that you see roughly in this area. And so it involved the Central Park, the property that is now Central Park Estates. This CS zoning and this PO zoning is really the keys that we're going to focus on here for a second. At the time, there was a strong desire to both keep Powell Road as sort of the end of development. That's sort of as the urban service boundary became a thing. Powell Road was really sort of that line for a long time. And so they wanted to see Central Park Estates built. They wanted to see it sort of turned back sort of towards the rest of the development. And so in 2002, the request came in largely to get rid of the PO zoning, right? There was a thought that if you're going to build this single-family development, people wouldn't want to drive through an office park to get back to a single-family development. And so the request came forward in 2002 to change the PO and a portion of the CS to RD multifamily residential, RD multifamily residential zoning. So the CS would remain on the frontage, which is now on Central Park Drive. The multifamily would be in the middle, and then Central Park Estates would get built to the far eastern edge, which is right here. All these sort of uniquely shaped things that you see are natural areas that were intended to be set aside. They're almost all wetlands, and they have been maintained thus far in the development. I mean, even if you go out there today, there's a lot right here in Central Park Estates that has a very weird side lot line because it's just following the line of the wetland. And so at the time, in 2002, the Township Board got the request, and the Township Board referred it to the Planning Commission for discussion regarding the proposed change of zoning, so essentially the land use question here. And what happened in 2002 is they ran it essentially as if it was a rezoning. Planning Commission held a public hearing, made a recommendation to the board took it up, and then the board made the decision in 2002 to recommend, to direct the attorneys to implement a amendment to the judge settlement agreement to implement that zoning change. And so the PO zoning goes away, goes to RD, and our current zoning map is what's in place now. We still have the CS up front, so still our highest density commercial along the frontage. Now you have medium density multifamily, and you have Central Park Estates in the back. And the sort of carrot was they needed to get Central Park Estates done to allow anything else to sort of go forward. And so Central Park Estates was done. And obviously a lot of things have happened in the economy, things have changed. Fast forward to the past couple of years, the Ide family has restructured, the patriarchs have both passed at this point, and all the next generation has taken over. And so one of their stated goals, I think they would say this out loud, is that they still have some land to develop in the township, and they're pushing towards bringing on development groups to develop that land, right? as you do as a developer, and this is one of those pieces. And so staff was approached originally in 2023 regarding the potential to do multifamily in this area. Early 2024, a proposal was going to go to the township board. It was actually the first meeting in May. The township had a change in leadership at the time, and upon my appointment to interim township manager, I recommended to the groups at the time, this is not the best time to bring this forward. There's a lot going on, and you're likely to meet a more hostile crowd than normal. And so they stepped back, things were on the back burner. Another group approached us with it was a proposal that we didn't find to be very appealing. And so things kind of calmed down, and then Manager Dempsey started, and things have settled down, and the group that was originally interested was still interested, and they've come back now, and they have formally asked the township board to consider this. And so this is the proposal that they brought forward to the township board. And I'm going to start at the south end and work my way north here. So south of,
Director Schmidt?
Yes.
Sorry. Can we ask questions during this, or would you rather we wait until the end?
I am good with questions whenever you'd like to ask them.
Okay. I just want to, like, from a high level, so who regulates this spot currently? Is it the settlement?
Yes.
So the
And the
settlement,
zoning as of 1992.
okay. So there's a settlement, basically, that the township settled.
Yes,
And that document regulates this specific block.
correct. Correct.
Okay, and so can that change given what we're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've amended it 3 times, I believe, thus far because we've actually amended it more than that, I apologize. Because the other piece of this is Walmart is part of this.
Right.
So anytime Walmart does anything, we have to go through this rather cumbersome process. Now, Walmart is trying to figure out a way to be nice to us and get rid of it because they're tired of dealing with it too. Staff, my professional opinion is you shouldn't do zoning by lawsuit, but here's where we're at 35 years later.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to tell you in a minute why you can not have to worry about any of the legal stuff, but we'll get there. So property south of Columbus Avenue, largely wetlands now, will remain wetlands. They're proposing a detention basin in the small area of uplands at Columbus and Central Park. All the water flows this way anyway because it's trying to get to the pond that's down behind Grand Reserve, just off of Grand River by the Sparrow facility. When you get in between Columbus and Belvedere is when you get to the meat of the proposal. And so they're proposing, what they propose to the board, again, we don't have an actual submittal yet, let me reiterate that, is 2-story apartment buildings that were actually trying to keep, what they were trying to do is mimic the design of the 2 and 2.5-story buildings, houses to the rear, right? So they're trying to keep the density somewhat low here, detention in the rear, and then to the north, and this is the piece that didn't show up on the maps that you saw before. This is the emergency access from Central Park Apartments, which was also part of this lawsuit originally. This is the emergency access drive that goes out to Times Square. I believe people refer to it as Madison Avenue. It's actually not a street. It is an emergency access. Staff, we need to confirm that. We need to pull the file and get all those details. But I have seen the file. It is an emergency access. Eventually, it's supposed to either be gated or brought up to full standards. And so what they're proposing at this point is some apartments on the north property adjacent to Times Square, so pushing them as far away from the single family as possible, and those would be 3-story buildings. So those would be a little more traditional apartment style buildings. So this was sort of their original pitch to the board, right? You're at about 30 acres, you're about 300 units. It's right around 10 dwelling units to the acre if you do straight math. That conveniently doesn't fall neatly into any of our zoning categories. It's in the middle of 2, and so they, would end up requesting to go to the higher one, obviously, so they could then limit it to this. The board reviewed this and did not dismiss it out of hand. After talking internally and talking with our attorneys, the recommendation was we follow the same process we did in 2002. And so the next step was the board referred it to the planning commission for discussion on the land use. So what the planning commission is going to get, essentially, is a modified conditional rezoning request. The developer is essentially going to ask for your review and recommendation on a request to change the zoning to X with these conditions, right? And this is the only time I will ever say this to you. So take this piece of information and enjoy it. You can actually recommend things in this case. This is the only time you will ever have that opportunity on a conditional rezoning, because it's not a conditional rezoning, it's actually an amendment to the settlement. But this is the only vehicle we have to actually submit something. So it's gonna come to you as a rezoning request, so you can focus on the land use. You don't have to worry about the legal ramifications. What the board is looking for you is for you to analyze the land use patterns, existing and proposed, what they're recommending, how it fits in, and make a recommendation to the board. Because the other piece of this is, right, the master plan hasn't changed. We haven't touched the master plan because there's a lawsuit associated with it. So the master plan still says commercial in the front. You could put a Sheetz out in front of Central Park Estates right now, I think by right, under the old CS zoning, and there's nothing we can do about it. And so this is one of the only times that we're gonna say, if you have recommendations for a way you think this might be more palatable, please make them at this point, because it will be taken into account by the board.
And that's because this sits under the 2002 modification?
Yes. Technically, there's another one that related to Walmart, but it's irrelevant to this case.
Okay.
So all parties have stipulated that the settlement agreement governs. Is that,
The settlement agreement governs, yes.
okay, and the vehicle for change is to amend the settlement agreement pursuant to whatever the planning commission and the board agree to?
The planning commission is gonna make a recommendation, and then the board has to direct staff and the attorney's office to then yay or nay.
Got it. That is weird.
It is. You'll never see another one of these. That's why I'm here, trying to give you all the nitty gritty dirt beforehand. So we expect to receive a request any day now. What I will also add is that at staff's recommendation, and the board then reiterated, we had the developer do an open house at the Okemos Public Library about 3 weeks ago. To note, there's no formal submittal yet. This is still concept plan. Nothing's been fully engineered. It was met with a great deal of heated discussion. The applicant is attempting to try and respond to some of the comments, right? Our original thought was that no one was gonna want, three-story buildings here, but what we heard actually was, no, it's more important that you stay away from us. We don't care how tall the buildings are. Just stay back, right? And so they're looking at potentially increasing the height there from what they originally submitted, so they can get additional setback from the neighbors and potentially take one of the buildings out. So they're still working through things. The other piece they didn't have at the time, yes, sir?
You can finish, and then I can.
Okay, the other piece they didn't have at the time is the wetland delineation was still active, because obviously the wetland delineation on the site was 20 years old, had to be updated. And so that came back with some information they didn't have before, so they're still working on changes. That's why we don't have a formal submittal yet. It is coming though, so we wanted to have this conversation tonight to sort of get you up to speed on the land and get any questions you have. And so with that.
You said they would want to go higher, like 3 stories?
3 stories, yeah.
Maybe this is not, it's kind of related, but what is our limit in terms of height with buildings? How many stories can we go?
No, it's a great question. So there is a mechanism in the code to allow them to go to 3 stories. It will not require any special approval if they meet, there's additional setback requirements to go to 3 stories. And so initial review from our office, they should be fine. But obviously, we'll get into those details. Going above that, so to answer the real question, you can get up to 5 stories in certain areas, 6 stories in certain areas, but it's very limited. The tower on Grand River is, I think, the only building that's, no, there's the tower and there's the one up in Tower Gardens. Both are 6-story buildings.
Okay. Is that, only reason I'm asking is because they started off with 2. And I know they don't have a formal proposal yet, but is that a possibility?
No. What's going to happen? No, because what's going to happen is one of 2 things, right? They're either going to come in and say, we are going to limit ourselves to no more than 3 stories and 33 feet, or we're going to say, you're going to limit yourselves to no more than 3 stories or 33, whatever that number is, right?
Okay.
Because we have that ability here to say, you will not build above this height. And technically, there's a way you can get to 12 stories in our code, but you don't have to worry, that's not realistic. I forgot about that. There is actually a provision in there to get to 12 stories. I have no one would be able to meet it. It was obviously written for some idea that somebody had at some point.
Commissioner McConnell?
I was looking forward to hearing more about the commercial aspect of the project and the zoning and whether there was or is a question, an open question of any commercial in this project, or if it's purely residential.
At this point, they're proposing a purely residential project. Commercial's in an interesting place, right? The focus, all of our commercial activity in the township has been heavily focused on the Grand River corridor. We're seeing virtually nothing outside of that. And so this, although along sort of a commercial arterial, if you will, it's not a principal street, but it's an arterial, you're only seeing residential activity on the street now. So I question whether our commercial market would be strong enough to support additional commercial here. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't accept that as a reason, but, again, given this project, I wouldn't want to force something that's going to fail again and put us into a worse legal position.
Sure. On the issue of stories, I recall images in prior planning documents for Picas and what the Meridian Mall might one day look like, and I feel like there were 3- and 4-story, probably commercial and residential above.
Yeah.
Has that kind of look and feel been part of the discussions, or?
No, this has been entirely focused on how, their focus is trying to ameliorate some of the concerns from the residential project. This is one of those, this is a property that I think anyone in the planning industry would tell you was built backwards, right? You build the more dense before you build the single family for this exact reason. And unfortunately, we've got 2 of these that are backwards right now that we're working our way through. So no, there hasn't been any discussion of sort of mixed use or commercial at all. I think the development group certainly, and the owners, I think, also are looking at the commercial as not being viable at this point.
Okay. That one settled. Maybe just a comment that from a walkability standpoint, having high-density residential and walking distance of a major commercial center seems like makes a lot of sense, especially if intersections can be safe. But having walkability to the mall can only help those properties to thrive. And I don't know if people who work in the mall are going to be able to afford this kind of housing. So it'd be interesting to know what the expectations of the price point are going to be.
So they're not aiming for the top of the market, but they're certainly not, it's not aimed towards 120% AMI kind of. They're going to be just a basic market rate, middle of the road unit, new unit, obviously.
Yeah, the old question, could our firefighters and our police and our teachers afford to live there?
Probably, yeah. This is one where I'd say yes, whereas looking at something like Grand Reserve, I would say absolutely not.
Yeah, it looks like infill to me. It looks like the kind of infill we're trying to create to cause people to live closer to our commercial centers and not expand and sprawl out into the burbs, so. It makes a lot of sense from my understanding of our direction as a township in terms of planning objectives.
Commissioner McCurtis?
I share the same sentiment in terms of affordable housing. Teachers, police, firefighters. Do we have, I think I already know the answer. Do we have some kind of control in terms of pricing is concerned regarding that? Because, you know, it would be nice if it was some level of affordability for, you know, those type of professions.
You know, in this case, we don't. But that is why the tools like the residential housing TIF were created. And so in a place like Hazard Village Square where we've applied that, we will have some control, not necessarily long-term or medium-term, over keeping that at an affordable rate. But for a project like this, I think unless they came forward and asked under that, to come in under that brownfield policy, and then absolutely. We slide right in under the policy and they meet all the standards of it, or they don't get the reimbursement.
The reason I ask is because the obvious reasons, but, you know, they can say, oh yeah, it'll be affordable, and then next thing you know, they can jack it up.
Absolutely. No, it's, you know, it's tough being in a location with this good of schools because everyone wants to be here. I mean, that's the fundamental driver of suburban growth is the quality of the school district.
Commissioner Ronbeck, sorry.
Director, I think I heard two things, and maybe it's just me. I heard we can put restrictions on it, but not in the economic sense.
Yeah, so I think the economic sense, there's no precedent really for that having been involved with the lawsuit previously.
Okay.
So I think the conditions I'm referring to, like, which is why we're having the legal discussion now, because our discussion in the future will be focused on the land use, right? And so the conditions, I think, need to be related to some sort of land use provision. That if you do go to a 3-story building, you have to be a minimum of 200 feet away. Or we want all the parking to be on the other side of a building so lights can't shine into the neighborhood. Or wetland mitigation is at a 5-to-1 ratio, or whatever it is. Like, because I don't even know if there's a wetland impact yet. But things like that we're trying to relate back to the terms of the lawsuit.
Okay. So for lack of a better term, there's restrictions on the restrictions, or
Well, so it's yeah, but it's not that we have to focus only on the things there because, right, it's 35 years ago. Our ordinance is completely different. So if there's something in the current ordinance that they come forward with, I mean, the height is really the one that jumps out at me because inevitably they're going to come in with 3-story buildings in some way, shape, or form. It's a matter of where.
yeah.
And so how we address that and say, okay, it has to be this far away, or it can't be here, however we deal with that. The other part of this is they're also, you know, they're a relatively savvy group of developers. You know, they're hopefully going to come in with a proposal that has a lot of restrictions on it already so that it's, you know, palatable to discussion and we can focus on specific issues as opposed to having the entire platter of concerns laid out still.
Yeah, I just share Commissioner McCurtis, Commissioner McConnell's comments on the affordability aspect, because
Yeah.
that to me is the zeitgeist. I mean, I don't even know what our average home price sale is in Meridian Township, but I got to imagine we're damn close to pricing firefighters, teachers, and police officers out.
I mean, you fundamentally priced me out. There's a broader macroeconomic problem here
Yes.
that started in the mid-'80s that it's going to be a challenge. I mean, average sale price somewhere around $400,000
Yeah.
at this
And
point.
I'm thinking if 2 first-year teachers could afford that, and
Not at all. Not at all. No, and that's a problem that every community is going to have to
That's right.
address.
That's, but my thing is, I'm sitting here right now, and that's just
Yes.
Director Planner Shorkey gets a lot more on restaurants. How are we going to bring better restaurants? But now I'm kind of zeroed in on this because I get it because I think about it from this perspective. If it's the one time we have conditions, you know, do we have a duty to not miss there if the, what do they call it, the missing middle is not here right now?
Yeah.
Right, and, or is it short term? Is it, hey, for 5 years, you have to have some sort of cap, or, you know, to me, it's at least worth the discussion, even if impractical.
And I would absolutely bring it up. They will share with you what their proposal is, because they would argue that's what they're trying to hit, is that missing middle. It's just what someone views is the
Middle.
the cost of that middle.
Yes.
Right, because that number, like,
The top of the middle.
has,
Yeah.
because even when we do like 120% AMI, average median income from Meridian Township, that's far higher than you would expect because we're an affluent community, right? And so the 120% AMI gets you to a rent level that is a bit surprising to me. But that's, it always used to, right? The planning theory is you want to be you identify where you want to be. Most likely you're going to rent there for a few years to get a feel for the community, save up your money, find a house to buy, put a down payment down and live there, right?
Yep.
And then eventually your kids move out and you sell it because you want to downsize. And so unfortunately, between the 2008 recession and COVID, that downsize piece didn't happen to a lot of people. And so now we're short housing units. We're short probably 1,500 housing units at this point. And we're never going to build 1,500 single-family homes in this township ever again. Like, we had a conversation with the developer of Copper Creek, right? The next phase of Copper Creek's coming. Like, at max build-out, you're going to get another 300 units there. And that's the last piece. That's it. There is no other vacant land.
But in a weird way, you're making my argument for me.
Because
I'm saying
100%.
we can't do conditions, and in this one we can do. Now, obviously, we could make a recommendation, and the board could nix those, right? But to me, it's worth the discussion, even if it ends up as impractical, because we are never again going to have that ability.
Yeah.
With any other development.
And I totally agree. I would absolutely have the conversation. And if there is something that comes out of that, we'll run it through the washer with the attorneys and see what they have to say.
Commissioner McConnell wanted to add something.
I wanted to derail that discussion that I sparked and look at number 3 on this map. That looks suspiciously like a dumpster site.
It is.
somebody's
and
backyard?
They've already proposed moving it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I think that's the one where they've put their shed on this property. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
This could be a
But yeah, that was one of the first things.
I just thought that was.
No,
part of
it's-
parking.
that's-
One of the first things we identified, one of the first things the neighborhood identified,
Yeah.
it won't be there when a formal submittal comes in.
So bad.
Although it's a completely legal location, but that's a conversation. It's a conversation for amending the ordinance.
This condition list could get extensive.
We expect it to, at least from a discussion perspective, whether or not it's, again, the attorneys are gonna have to wash everything before we take it to the board, most likely, so,
That's what attorneys do.
yep.
Could multifamily recycling be a condition?
Yeah, absolutely, especially given interestingly enough, Walmart was supposed to build a recycling center for the community, as part of the, 98 maybe amendment.
Excellent.
And that didn't come to fruition for a number of different reasons, drain commissioner, soils, et cetera. But yeah, absolutely. That's already in there, sort of.
Right on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just have a question, clarification, something you said much earlier. You say the average price of our homes is 400,000?
Yes, sir. Somewhere around there.
It was 340 according to Zillow. I just looked it up.
Yeah. When I started, my wife and I considered buying, having Mayberry build us a house in Copper Creek. They were going about 265, 275.
Yeah.
You can't get in there under 4.5 now, 450 now.
Yeah, we put an offer on a house and like 2 years ago, and it just went up for sale. No improvements, nothing, 100 grand above.
Yep.
And I'm going like, that's 2 years. The math is not mathing.
Nope.
Can you zoom out a little bit, Director Schmidt?
Maybe.
So this is only developing in this pocket right here, but then there's stuff south of Columbus Avenue, and then that's like sort of outlined here.
So this is all part of this is all the last of the vacant pieces. It's essentially
Right.
3 pieces, south, middle, north. South will just have a detention pond on it. That's where the water wants to go. Middle will be the bulk of the development. North will be the most dense technically, because it'll have the most units, most likely. But it also is preserving much more open space. But again, concept plans only. Please do not hold them to this.
Yeah, no.
It's going to change.
Yep.
It has changed.
God, if I owned Cancun, I'd be licking my lips. You know, those people,
I mean,
And the Thai place.
yeah, everybody.
I guess I hear like us talking about how we are in a current period of time that lots of things are happening. But we won't always be in this situation. And this is a large plot of land. And at least in my limited experiences at the Planning Commission, which I think I'm coming up on 3 years,
I believe so.
something like that. I feel like what I've seen is that once something is there, it's far less likely for it to change.
Yeah.
You mean in the formal application?
Well, no, like once something is built,
Oh, yeah, then it's done.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we think in 30, 40-year cycles,
Yeah,
right? Old Chicago is just now, that's been what, 3, 4 different restaurants? And it's just now getting to the point of it's likely to be torn down.
right.
So enough people over the years have figured out a way to make that a viable restaurant, but we're finally there, right? Most big restaurant chains have their sort of commercial standard, and getting outside that box is very difficult for them.
Right. Well, and so my comment though is about the commercial space and the mixed use development. And I get that where things are currently, but they won't always be there. And this is a prime location for both for potential public transportation offshoots from Grand River. It's a place to divert traffic off of Grand River, and Grand River is just, I don't really particularly want more development on Grand River, even though that seems to be where things are going. I would be particularly interested in that mixed-use development, even though I know that it may be financially more difficult at this moment. But if we think 30 years out, this whole area is gonna be quite a bit different than what it is right now. And inflation keeps going up, like things keep getting more expensive. So I think prices don't really go down, it doesn't seem like. So if you're gonna build and you have this sort of prime spot, I'm more interested in that mixed use. But I appreciate the infill nature of this though, and I'm gonna spend a lot of time thinking about it.
And that's why we wanted to get this in front of you now, so we can at least get any questions about the legal side of things out of the way, because that, again, I won't mention it much more than as we talked about. And so you can start thinking now about the land use piece of this, because that's really the focus. And so, once we get a submittal, which, again, I expect this week, we will schedule a public hearing in October, and then have a discussion meeting then after, asking for you guys to make a recommendation to the board.
So I have a question about just looking at all the wetlands, the green space. Can a condition be that trails be provided as part of this community?
Absolutely.
I mean, it would be an amazing amenity in an area that otherwise doesn't have, I don't think, anything like that.
Yeah, and I think, how they weave that in with the wetlands is a good question, and I don't know that answer yet.
Right.
Sorry, I'm looking at this Madison Avenue. which is apparently one of the two entrances to the apartments that are shown in the top right corner, and that's only a portion of them. And-
Could you zoom out, Tim?
Well, actually, if you could go to Google Maps.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, that'd be
maybe show
really
you.
helpful. I admit I've never been past those apartments on Madison Avenue. I didn't know they were there. I've
Yep.
never had occasion to go to them.
It comes down off Tie Hart, right?
Yeah,
And off of, this is Fifth Avenue coming off of Marsh Road, right across the street from Meadow Lodge.
Oh,
And it comes down through and around Walmart.
and in the proposed plan, that's a parking lot.
So Madison Avenue doesn't exist as a road. There are no easements for it, it appears. It looks like it was installed as a secondary access, when the property was all under single ownership, and then pieces were sold off, and now it's a bit of an orphan. So there is going to be a discussion with the fire marshal as to whether this is a full-time access or a part-time access. I can tell you the development group doesn't want it to be a full-time access, right? And no apartment complex does. They never want another complex driving through their complex.
But in the,
Well, at
in the,
one point, they actually had it blocked off. They had concrete barriers, so you couldn't drive
Yep.
through there. But the question will be, now they're proposing 300 units for this new layout. Has there been a study of the current level of vacancy for apartments within the township?
There is not, and typically that's not something we would ever get into, is the vacancy.
So if you had a 25% vacancy rate in your existing housing market for apartments, you're not going to expect that's going to carry over into this new one with higher values?
Director Schmidt, at the beginning of the master plan process, staff did call, we looked into one-bedroom, one-bath house apartments, looking for prices, so it's not exactly what you're asking for, but through that, we got the general sense, our vacancy rate in apartments is somewhere around 5%, meaning 95%, 90 to 95%, I'll sit here right now and say it, 90 to 95% of our apartments are occupied at this point. We do not have a 25% vacancy rate.
No, I didn't anticipate
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, we have a very, very high
Yeah.
occupancy rate of our town, of our apartments in our township.
What's the current level of occupancy for the new development at Marsh and Hazlet Road, the senior housing?
I don't know, we can follow up with the economic development director on that. I know that she's been in conversations with them. They have, it sounds like they're pivoting their marketing strategy.
Well, at $2,700 a month, I think they would.
I think they're actually even higher than that now.
wow.
yeah, I'm still confused about the road. Could you go back to the drawing for a second? I couldn't see a road between the proposed development and
It's this right.
Walmart.
Oh, there isn't one between
They've turned
Walmart.
the road into a parking lot, so those.
So this is the road, you can see
If
that.
it's not blocked off, you're just gonna have people drive, do people,
Yeah, we drive through there now.
yeah, yeah.
There was it's funny, this project aside, like this started coming to a head last year because there was a car accident on the street. We found out it's not a street, and then people started digging into whether there's an easement, and there's really not an easement. And so now it's become a much more complicated thing as to who's
So
liable.
what is it? Just
Right now, it's just an access point.
access?
Yeah. And the issue being, right, why would you be on an access point for a property that doesn't have a building on it?
So
Go ahead, Commissioner McCurtis.
my question is, with this road, is this road, I get it, this is owned by IDE, but what about the rest of it?
The Central Park the Central Park Apartments?
Yeah, that goes behind Walmart.
Yeah, that is, a third-party group owns that now. That property's been sold.
So they would have to come to some type of agreement where they could connect, like
Yeah.
this road here and then a parking lot?
That is one of the things that the development group is looking into now as to how this is gonna work.
Yeah.
Because it is a hanging chad, if you will, from the original development.
Bring me back to
of-
2004.
Right? I thought I'd be timely with my reference since we're talking about an old project. But it is, I mean, it is one of those things that's still hanging out there from 20 years ago that should have been resolved by my predecessor and was not.
For the buildings that like, so a lot of the buildings that are around this area would, the apartments or whatever units were here would face the back of them. Right? So like if you think where Target and all those stores are to the south here,
Yeah, right here.
right? So like the apartments right there are looking at the back of Kohl's.
Side of Kohl's, yeah.
Side of Kohl's, and then the back of Target and hair, and like all those
Yeah,
No good
areas
view.
in the mall.
If you go 4 stories, you'll be able to see all the roofs.
right?
Oh,
I don't believe this development group builds that product, a 4-story product, so I don't think that's something we have to worry about.
Yeah. And I'm not pointing this out to think through like the view necessarily. I just, I don't know.
So there at some point will be a submission, and then how many times does that have to run through us before it goes to the board?
I mean, at a minimum, you have to see it twice. You could see it more, but at a minimum, you have to hold a public hearing, and then you have to discuss it at a future meeting. I do expect that you will have a full house,
It's very
if we're being completely honest.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner McCurtis.
When, in terms of timeline, you said we could come up with our own, like, different, what do you call them, not stipulations,
Conditions.
conditions.
Sure.
So when can we do that? Do we do that during the hearing? Like, when does that happen?
Obviously, I would recommend waiting until after you see the plans at the public hearing and hearing the feedback. And that's, I think, fundamentally, that's why we have a 2-step process here, is that you can take that public hearing, get the feedback,
Right.
get a chance to matriculate on it, think about it, and then bring it back at a discussion meeting and then talk through, okay, to try and address this concern, to try and address that concern,
Got it.
right? And then, again, if we needed some additional time, you direct us to try and work out some language if it came to that, and we would. Or you just say, okay, board, here's our thoughts, move it along. That is entirely the purview of the planning commission.
Thank you.
Is there some way, or do we have a list of all the legal conditions that's currently stipulate?
So it's, the way it stipulates right now is it's subject to the RD zoning and the CS zoning. And we are not permitted to change those zonings without amending the judgment. The Walmart piece has a whole bunch of conditions associated with it, but that's a completely different. This one, because there was no proposal at any point, it's subject to the RD and the CS zoning. I don't think I have the right file with me, I apologize for that.
And that's the current RD and CS zoning,
Correct, the CS doesn't exist, but
or, right, that's
the copy we have, yeah.
yeah, that's the thing you have in your office.
So what they did was, these are the reasonings behind it, and then it was planning commission, and actually the board did the public hearing previously, but to try and keep it consistent, we brought the public hearing to the planning commission, but yeah, it was, it's just subject to the, RD not to exceed, 8 units to the acre. There's no special things here. They just replaced the PO with RD.
So the total land is like around 30 acres and this is 300 units? This is just
Ballpark,
ballpark, right?
Yep.
So it's 1 acre per land.
10 units to acre right now.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Sorry, Brett's really bad math.
Any further discussion?
What's the highest density? I have so many, but I'm gonna stop here in a second.
Yeah,
What's the highest density unit we currently have, roughly? Like,
oh, the highest density project,
yeah,
tower, probably?
Yeah, I think so. Makes sense.
It's probably the tower. I'd have to,
I mean,
it also might be Twickenham, because that's over on Hagedorn, because that's a surprisingly small lot. There's a couple of properties that are zoned RCC, which is the highest density multiple family district that we have. And I think the tower, I think Twickenham, I think there might be one up by Tower Gardens off of Lake Lansing as well, the 6-story building up there. Those are probably the three off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some obscure, like 6-unit building on a quarter of an acre on Hamilton or something that's 50 units to the acre or something.
Right.
Those are the three that really jump out at me. That would be probably the highest density ones.
Are there any, like, oh, never mind. I'm not gonna go that direction.
It's coming back.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Twickingham's RCC.
Okay. Okay, so moving along here on the agenda.
Thank you very
item-
much.
Yes, thank you. Item, we're at other business, so item 9B, Article 8, off-street parking and loading discussion.
Got it right in the memo. Yeah, really not a lot to say, just, we've done a lot of work on our parking ordinance. The planning commission has seen our parking regulation section, planning commission has seen our parking landscaping section. Those have both gotten through the board now, landscaping?
It'll be adopted on
Very close.
next week.
We're just letting you know that we've also worked on the rest of the ordinance, the rest of the article. It's gonna be a fairly lengthy text amendment, but a lot of it is nuts and bolts stuff. We will be bringing that to you, not next meeting, but probably sometime in October, for initial discussion. And we're just making you aware that we're moving ahead with the rest of the parking ordinance update.
Any comments? Questions? Okay,
It's nice getting the heads up.
yeah.
Sure, so if you go through, if you're absolutely bored at home and you got nothing to do, go to Article 8, look through, and see if anything pops out at you. But like I said, we actually, staff, the three of us in our office actually have sat down and put some work into this. So we do have a marked up draft that we'll be bringing to you. I'm putting the correct language in that ordinance, so you don't have to worry about the landscaping or the parking regulations when you see it.
All right. All right, thank you, Planner Shorkey. Item 10, reports and announcements, Township Board update.
So I will just add, the Township Board did adopt the rooster ordinance regulations. Thank you for your work on that. I know certainly there was a former resident who thought my work on that was very trivial and made it very clear at the board meeting, but I can tell you that we continue to get complaints about a couple of these. So it's important to some people. One of the roosters has been addressed pursuant to its former owner. And we think the other one has too, because we haven't got any complaints on it recently. But it's something that needed to be done. It was becoming an issue, and so appreciate that. And as Planner Sharkey mentioned, the Township Board will be taking up the landscaping changes for final adoption at their meeting next week. So thank you for your work on that as well.
Excellent, thank you. All right, item 10B, liaison reports.
The last meeting of the Planning Commission was canceled for lack of business, but we're looking forward in October to hearing from recipients of our Green Grants program. It's always a lot of fun, so if you got nothing else going on Wednesday night, tune in.
Excellent, thank you. Anybody else?
We're always underselling things. It's not if you don't have anything else to do. If you want to be involved in your community,
Tune into YouTube.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, item 11, project updates.
I have no report for you this.
All right, item 12, any public remarks? Yes, please, did you fill out a card?
There are no cards up.
Oh, no cards, sorry.
Hello, Josh Nam, 1517 River Terrace, East Lansing.
Real quick, would you spell your last name?
Oh, N as in Nancy, AHU, M as in Mary. Sorry, I spell my name with other names. I just wanted to say, I know that, when the proposal, for the housing development comes up, I know there's gonna be a whole lot of backlash. I've been to enough of these meetings that I've seen a lot of that, and I just want to say, before there's a bunch of people here making those complaints, that I just want to say, I'm all in favor of increasing the amount of housing units here in Meridian Township, and I appreciate that it is very clear that all of you are aware of the needs of the greater community as well. So just wanted to say, keep up the good work, and I know that it's going to be probably an uphill battle with local residents, and they have important positions to take as well. But as somebody who's not right there, but would appreciate especially units that are more affordable. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, item 13, commissioner comments. Anybody today? All righty. Okay, well, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Rombach, seconded by Commissioner McCurtis. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the meeting of the Planning Commission of September 8th, 2025 is now adjourned at 7:30 PM.